Good evening. Good morning. Just hopefully, wherever you are, it's good. We're going to sort of begin to take another plunge into Theodore Adorno. It's kind of one of those people, the more you study him, the more enigmatic it all becomes. So it might be a little while before being able to really get the full picture. But we'll start with some others who have appeared. I'm not saying that they were contemporaries of his, but they seem to always appear on the radar when I'm looking him up as well. So we shall go to New York City. We shall find some mysterious places there. This was the address, actually, of Aleister Crowley. Not really the exact, but I went to 36th and 11th. If any of you can help me. This was sort of nearby, and it looked like this world on top of this very old building, one of those long, heroic places. It comes up as the post office. I mean, here it says it's the, oh great, did that disappear? Sorry. As the processing center for the United States Postal Service. There. USPS. So I don't know what's going on in New York at the moment. I'm not sure if there are, billionaires building playgrounds on top of the post office, or if the post office itself has just turned into a sort of, as you can see, it's sort of under construction, but it looks like kind of a running jogging thing, and there are different little outbuildings. I don't know if there's like a pool, it's just kind of wild. This is the address of Theodore Adorno, where things still look more or less the same with these, what they call the pre-war buildings. And that is his street. That is his address for 29 117th, Upper West Side. Probably still pretty much the same, right? And Henry Kissinger across the way on Sutton Place. So, I was just trying to kind of at first just get bearings as to what was the day-to-day life like. We do, however, have, here he is at Tavistock. Here he is. There is the handshake. And it's interesting because and this is an article, saying he wrote the music, and yet he had a deep kind of hatred for it as well. I know it might be sort of controversial, but many feel he was the author of their music. And, it's weird. I guess that, we have sort of different aspects of this person. And one thing that came up that was strange was he came up as an occultist when I looked him up in LA. When I looked him up in Tavistock, it was, he was more of maybe a master of the unconscious mind. Really, maybe the only person at that point to have delved into music, the unconscious control. Control of the mind, really. And yet when I would type in his name and type California, it would say, we're looking at something interesting here too. And some of you who are from New York might know what this place is. I did not. I profess that I did not know that place. I think that when I lived there, it looked like this. I'm finding pictures it was a place that was completely derelict. Here it is in its sort of original grandeur, and extremely occult place. See, there's your little Egyptian winged creatures. So it got restored. It got restored. Here it is. They brought it back. And that kind of is interesting, just that, was he there during the time of it falling apart, or did he have any knowledge of this place? Here you've got the Temple of Love. This is all in Yonkers. You have Temple of the Sky. I just read that their sarcophagus was stolen. They don't know where it is, what happened to it. This is just really north of the Bronx, north of New York. So it's kind of a big place. It's called Untermeyer Park. And I guess he was some sort of occultist and also Wall Street lawyer in the 20s or something. And I only just learned of him. The creepy part is, I guess that's where like maybe Son of Sam people are going there when it was in this shape. Your kind of low-level, icky, weird Satanist, as opposed to what your other type Satan. I don't know. I mean, it's a very weird thing. But yes, they have a missing sarcophagus there. And I didn't even know about this place. I guess it was, phenomenally creepy in the probably 60s, 70s, 80s and everything like that. So, sorry about that. Let's get back to, and this is where Adorno lived in California, or one of his places. Maybe, he probably had all kinds of different digs about, but that's, I think it's in Brentwood, Pacific Palisades, that sort of area. And I'd like to find out more about how he learned how the brain sort of works with, the AM, FM radio, the sort of short and long and different various, it's really weird, amounts of time for something to hit. And I was reading a bit about the chorus, and you don't want things too novel, you don't want things too new, you want things to be at a standard. And he was really saying that ultimately, he was not an existentialist, I read. I would think he was maybe he was a nihilist, or maybe he realized that this music would create nihilism because you are always in this sort of trap. And he was the one who discovered earworms, and we've all probably had that, where a jingle is stuck in your head with something, an annoying song. I think maybe what was that song about Baby Shark that was out a few years ago that people were not thrilled about, that would kind of stay with people and stay, in their mind. So that is the earworm. And it's interesting. He talks about how we are past the age of poetry after the Holocaust. And he came over, so he definitely has, he has an intimate kind of view of the world through that lens, through not just lens, I mean through the suffering of that. And so I guess that he had written books really saying it's absurd. Not only is it absurd, but it's barbaric to be a poet and to write poetry in the age of post-Holocaust, that it no longer has a meaning. I remember seeing that, poetry no longer had a meaning after Prozac was invented. You don't have to be, write like Dostoevsky, Mad in the Night, or Edgar Allan Poe, right? Just take a pill. And he very much kind of understood that. I think those songs were very much like Take a Pill, very similar. That there's almost, he really felt it was degenerative, because there's something where the brain, it accepts it, and if the tune is catchy, it's like it accepts it and lulls it. I didn't see him use the word lobotomize, but I'm sure I would not be surprised if that came up. A standardized, consumeristic human, being this kind of new human, but really rather undesirable. He really felt, I don't know, he felt very strange about it. So we're going to continue. I'm sorry if this was slightly discombobulated, but this is I'm trying to sort of just grasp, where was he? And oh my God, and that's so weird. This place I did not know about in New York. It's interesting, we're always learning, aren't we? There he is again. So we will continue in a more, what should I say, organized fashion. I am so sorry. There's been a lot going on, and this matters so much, I don't want to lose it. So I thought I'll start with where he was. We didn't see where he lived at Tavistock, but we saw him there. And it's interesting, this feeling of disdain, and yet this feeling that this is sort of what is now. We are not in the age of poetry. We are now in the age of consumerism, and perhaps a standardization for some sort of safety valve. We will continue, but I don't know. The prognosis is a little tricky if he's saying that it degenerates over time, is what he saw in his studies. Anyway, much love.